Hello, open source enthusiasts. Welcome to another edition of Show and Tell Monthly, our monthly way of showing off all the cool new open source hardware situations that are happening in the world right now. These are all newly certified projects that we're really excited about. So today we've got 3 new projects that are really cool, so we're really looking forward to sharing them with you. But to start, we are a mere 2 weeks away from the Open Hardware Summit. It's shocking. I'm shocked. I can't believe I'm getting on a plane in a couple weeks and heading over to Edinburgh. Oh, the Scots are going to hate me. But I am very excited to meet them, so hopefully my enthusiasm will make up for the fact that I don't exactly know how they like to say Berg. And if you are unable to travel to the summit this year, there is always the option of the virtual supporter ticket. The virtual supporter ticket does come with the digital goodie bag, so you'll get things from our sponsors, such as discount codes or exclusive prints or other really fun, neat stuff like that. So if you're still not sure about the summit or it doesn't look like travel is in the cards this year, the virtual supporter option is always a wonderful one to go with. We're really looking forward to an excellent year. We've got some really cool stuff lined up, and we really think that it's going to be a summit to remember. But today we are focusing on our newly certified projects. We've got 3 to cover, and we've got some really awesome things to discuss. So we are going to start with the lovely Magna Luritzen, who is the creator of the MathPad. Welcome, Magna. How are you?
Hi, Sid. Hi. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So you made the MathPad, which
Yes.
we did get to see a sneak peek of it before it got certified in the Discord. So that's always a good option. If you aren't in our OSHWA Discord, you do get to see sneak peeks of new projects sometimes, or even help develop projects, give some feedback to folks. But let's talk about the MathPad. So how did this come to creation?
Well, basically, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, in fact, I was writing a lot of math on my computer, typesetting a lot of equations and various documents, and I got really tired of the options that you have available when you're typing mathematics. It's a lot of Googling, a lot of copy-pasting symbols, a lot of memorizing certain long codes, and I decided I wanted a better solution than what was available. So I looked around for basically a keyboard with mathematical symbols on it, and it was not possible to find one. It just doesn't exist. So I basically decided to make one myself.
Perfect. So let's talk about the design. So I noticed that it's like it's kind of similar to like the number pad that we're used to seeing on keyboards.
If you don't mind, I'll share some slides with you.
Yeah, please.
Cool. Let's I guess I'll just share my screen. That works. Let's see. I'll get the correct slides up and running in just a minute. All right, here we go. So yeah, that's the logo, recently trademarked, so that's fun. Here's a picture. Here's the MathPad. So as you said, it's just a little numpad, a little device that you plug in next to your normal keyboard, and it gives you access to like 116 symbols in a quite compact size. And it's compatible with practically every operating system and works both like in plain text mode. It can output Unicode. It can output specific codes for typesetting languages like LaTeX and Microsoft Office equations editor, stuff like this. And it's actually, in fact, soon on Crowd Supply. So that's exciting. So you might ask yourself, who would need this? Who would need such a specialized device? And you'd be surprised about how many might actually find it interesting, because if you're a student or a research or scientific staff, you might, maybe even if you're an engineer, you quite often need access to certain mathematical symbols. And the way you typically do it is that you either copy paste it from Google, like you search for the symbol that you want to have. Like here's a selection of a few of the most commonly used symbols that you might need to access, like pi and square root and infinity and these are not symbols that you can just type on a keyboard. So what happens typically is you Google them, you copy paste them into your document, or you use some kind of on-screen symbol picker. And regardless of what you do, it's a lot of like clicking around and looking for the correct symbol. It's not a very intuitive process. So an alternative to this is simply to use the MathPad and click the button you want, and you get the symbol. Quite simple. Here's my history. It might be fun to look at. So it started in 2022, which is 3 years already. Just started as an idea. You can see my first little concept up there, a little one single keycap with some symbols on it, just to get the idea into something physical. And then I built the prototype, just off-the-shelf components, and it worked quite well. It worked very fine for prototyping and developing the firmware. And then as time progressed, it got more and more advanced and more professional, until we are at the point where we are today, 2025, where we actually have a final version of this MathPad that's practically ready for release as a product that you can purchase. In terms of components, there's not that much. Starting from top left, we have the custom enclosure. This is a CNC'd aluminum enclosure, matte black anodization with some laser engraving. So all of the text and the logo that's laser engraved, so it looks quite nice in person. We got those custom keycaps, which I've been collaborating with another maker in Canada. So he's making these keycaps for me, and he's just a great guy. He's been really working. We've been really working a lot together on these keycaps, and the end result is amazing. Finally, just some mechanical switches and a custom PCB to go into it, and feet and some screws to put it all together. I think that's all, actually. So I'll just close that. We can continue the discussion. If that did that answer some of your questions, perhaps? You are muted.
I am muted. That did answer a lot of questions, and it's such a wonderful project because it's shocking to think that people have been using these silly workarounds of like copy pasting for ever. And that you're the first person to really, well, maybe someone has done some kind of thing like this before, but this is the first version of this kind of thing that I've seen before.
Same. I was also very surprised when I looked for this, because my intention was just to purchase a device like this.
Yeah.
I did not intend to make my own. And then I was so surprised to see that this doesn't exist as a commercial product, not even as an open hardware project.
Yeah. Sure.
No worries.
He loves to be involved. Yeah. So you've been working on this for quite a few years now.
Quite a few years, on and off, not full time, here and there, slowly improving things, figuring things out. Is my first open hardware project.
Oh, really? Congratulations. We love that.
So it's been a lot of figuring things out and basically getting into open hardware and learning who to contact, who to speak with. And now that it's also releasing on Crowd Supply, it's really forced me to bring it up to a much higher quality than maybe I would otherwise.
Yeah, it's like you want to make sure that it is extremely usable for whoever ends up grabbing it. Have you done a fair amount of testing with folks and seeing what feels right? It's
been difficult to find people. It's such a niche product that it's been quite difficult to find people who are interested in going out of their way and testing it.
Mm.
Surprisingly, it's I find it hard to explain to people what it does because it's another product that exists from before. So a lot of times when I try to explain it, they maybe I'm just not doing a very good job at explaining, but people often get the wrong impression and wrong understanding of what it actually does.
Yeah.
But my plan is just to release it. I know it works pretty well, so I'm hoping as it gets released on Crowd Supply, news will spread and it will reach the right people.
I think so. I think people are going to be really excited to see this existing. I know that there's a lot of people who do a lot of math equations that I think will really be looking forward to having this solution. It'll really cut down on so much
Mm,
time.
yeah, I would hope so.
Do you? So I guess there's like really a limited number of symbols in the end that you'll actually need. So do you see any other iterations of this, or does this feel like a pretty stable spot
It's
to
pretty
keep this project?
stable. Yeah, it's quite stable. I've already committed to quite a few keycap sets,
Yeah,
so those are fixed. They're not going to change. And maybe in the future, it will be possible for people to swap out these keycaps for more specific sets that are more tailored towards their needs.
yeah,
But for now, it covers most bases. I think this will be the current selection of symbols will cover most use cases. Yeah, I put quite a lot of effort and thought into trying to select the most useful symbols because obviously I couldn't put every symbol on this device. It would be enormous. So I had to limit myself to just 116 symbols.
just
Yes,
just 116, which I'm sure was hard to narrow down.
it was. It was. There's a surprising amount of symbols specific to specific branches of mathematics and physics.
Yeah. Do you anticipate maybe doing some like specific ones that could be tailored to specific branches at some point?
Absolutely, that's definitely a possibility in the future. And I have had some interest from chemists actually
Mm,
who want a chemistry version just because I happen to know some chemists which were interested in trying it out. So there's definitely some future plans for special editions, and it wouldn't really be that much of a trouble to do because all you have to do is swap out the keycaps
yeah.
and program it in firmware.
As far as your personal uses go, have you found that your time writing equations has been
Oh, absolutely. Anytime I need to write an equation, I just whip this thing out and I just type away. It works very well, and
amazing?
yeah, it's really helped me at least. So I'm pleased. And if nobody
That's
else
always so
seems to
fun.
find it useful, then at least I have something practical.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, when it comes to these kind of vaguely bespoke pieces of hardware, it can really just be for making sure that you have something that fits your needs. And that's a really fun
Yeah.
part of open source hardware. Like, I know it works for me, maybe it works for you. And putting it out there
Mm-hmm.
with the option.
Exactly.
Um, and I guess also since it is open source, why are you so involved? Since it is open source, you could very well see folks doing their own kind of alterations and tailoring it to their personal needs.
Yeah,
And that would
absolutely.
be very
Because
exciting as well.
the base is here, right? It doesn't have to be a math keypad. It could be anything you want. So all if you want to make your own keypad and you don't want it to be about math, you just download the files and you make your own keycaps and then modify the firmware slightly, and then suddenly you have a keypad for whatever else you need.
Yeah,
So the base is flexible and it's open for modifications.
amazing. I really love this entire project. I myself am not good at math and therefore never hit the point where I was using fun math symbols in my education. But
Mm.
something about it is just, it's such a perfect solution to a problem that people have been dealing with for a very long time. It's so funny how long we can put up with something and we could just be like, this is just how we do it. And then a solution like this can come along and really change how we perceive the project. It's
I, th-
so
I think
wonderful.
I think a lot of people they don't need to type math often enough for it to be something they worry about. It's more like it's a hassle at the moment when they're typing, and then they sort of forget about how much of a hassle it was until the next time they have to typeset some math.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are professional, they typically use like they memorize the codes that they need. It becomes like a second language to them. So my target audience, I would say, are the people right in the middle, people who use math. You need to typeset math often enough that it's a hassle, but they don't really get into the flow. And maybe they have to sometimes type it out in just in plain text, because in plain text you have no option but to copy paste from Google or use like some kind of on-screen symbol picker, and that can be really tedious.
Yeah, it does. It takes me back to my childhood. I was my family's. I was in French school for a lot of my life, so we memorized what we had to do because we had an English keyboard because we were based in an English area, and then B, we also had like just the list of the shortcuts taped beside the computer so that anytime we needed to do an accent, it was right there. But it just becomes second nature to be like, okay, then I just press do and insert that accent. But it is way easier when you have a tool like this that can really cut out on that time and that kind of useless memorization. I can save that for better things.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about the MathPad. I'm really excited to get to see this come to fruition on Crowd Supply and see how folks interact with it and tailor it to their specific needs. It's going to be such an interesting journey.
Yeah, me as well. I'm excited to see if it resonates with other people.
Amazing. And yeah, we'll keep in touch on your journey. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for the invite to the live stream. It's been a pleasure.
What a wonderful project. I really, really love that one. Like I said, it reminds me so much of growing up and having to spend a lot of time memorizing those little codes that a lot of times I would end up forgetting them or having to insert with Google or something. So something like this for such complex tool, more complex symbols is just so helpful. We are now going to move on to our next guest. We've got your friend Sue today, who is here to tell us all about the line follower. Hi, your friend. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you. How is the weather there?
It is actually nice and hot. It is nice and hot today. We are finally hitting summer in Canada.
Oh, that would be a warm summer there, yeah?
Yeah, it gets pretty hot these days. But I like it. How about you? How are you doing?
Thank you so much. These days we are all, gather something, doing something. That's kind of things.
Yeah,
we are pretty busy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really that time of year. Everyone's getting busy now that the sun is out and it's time to do work. So
Thank you.
Created the line follower PCB.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Actually.
Go ahead.
Actually, that was my first idea. Sorry, I am interrupting you talking, but I'm excited for. So the project started when I was, designing something to, to do something with it when a disaster comes. What disaster I'm talking about? It's disaster. Comes when your GPS is off and you are not able to use your GPA. There are some disastrous situation when the GPS is not fully function, and then we need something to just replace this system. So what is the system that we are talking about that can be replacement for this kind of situations? It's I'm talking about here, this little PCB. Oh, okay, you are seeing it. Yeah, that little PCB can track the lighting and the shadows and act based on these values, because when you don't have your car, example, your car, that application can use the tracks and just somehow rescue you from that situation, or it can replace the some GPS in somewhere that you cannot use that, based on the lighting and the shadow system. So I present you some thing that I prepared here. Let me. Okay. Yes. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay. There are articles that I published in this journal, Insight in Electrical and Electronic Engineering, which is issued like issue 1 of the volume 2. And here we have some abstracts for it, but I'm not going to get to the point where we want to talk about all of these things. But here, when we see this, this is a schematic of the diagram PCB that I'm building here, so that everyone can use this diagram as a fundamental of their projects, their future projects, which they want to use this kind of situations. And here we come across the PCB design. And as you can see, these PCBs are connected together, and the forefront of these are photodiodes. These are the fundamental system on our PCB board. And there's also another equation that I found out for adaptive controller. What I'm talking about adaptive controller is that the system can use both Arduino and another microcontrollers to connect with and read the situations based on the lightning and signals that it came from the situations. And here we have another things that my board and the Polo QTR HC, it's a commercial board. It's some kind of board that are already in the market. But this one here, I'm using accurate components to somehow better the sensing, better the reading, and these kind of things that need to be done. And also here, I'm saying that it's a 18 US dollar per 35 US dollar that we have on the market. If you want to, devalue the costs and use a cheaper solution to the commercial solutions around the market. So that was the, core idea on how to, reduce the costs of this board, which is very, very, very cheap, considered to the counterparts. If you have any question.
Yeah, this is an amazing project. And if folks do have questions, you can always put them in the chat and we will answer them. I also want to take a moment to highlight that this is our very first Iranian certification, which is really exciting. We're really excited to have Iran on our map of certified projects. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So do you see this project evolving in any way, or are you very comfortable with where it's at?
I'm currently about to update this project, and the idea that I'm having in my mind is that to somehow make it compatible with some kind of machine learning models which can put it accuracy above the thing that already has, and the accuracy can only be increased when we can use some kind of machine learning models. So for that, we need to cooperate some kind of microcontroller or microprocessor which can uh, do and saved all these models and somehow regulated on all these models on his board. So that's what I'm having in my mind. But I think if the folks around the world wants to somehow bet on this idea, there is always a situation where we can have that. It's always possible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like we say all the time, the beauty of open source is that people can contribute and find new ways of using this technology, which will be really cool to see if folks do have new ways of utilizing this. When you first developed this project, did you have a specific use case in mind?
Yes, the specific use case that I had in my mind is that to somehow cooperate this into some kind of autonomous cars or vehicles. It's already, I think it's already on the market, but the folks like us, which cannot have those expensive sensors like LiDAR sensors or any other sensors, which is very, very expensive. I think the last time I checked, there was an 4,000 to 10,000 costs for this kind of sensors, which is better in some way. But there is always the folks like us, which wants to reduce the costs, which wants to use a cheaper version, but also have that maintenance and that good effects which can bring with is and yeah, it can be used in the autonomous cars, in the industrial uses, where when we want to detect the objects which rolls on the what the word is conveyor. Yes, the conveyor transport these objects around the industries or factories, but the sensors can sort these kind of objects together, from differentiate find the differentiate between these objects, and this little PCB can do that. It's based on the object's shape. It wants to be a circular object, or it wants to be a square object. It can affect on the lightning based on the object, so it can detect somehow with that. But we need to use machine learning as well to put more accuracy into this PCB.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. We actually have a comment here from Sand who says, yes, I think machine learning will be necessary for it to distinguish the lines to my house and those of others. Which, yeah, we don't want to end up going to some random person's house.
Yes, actually, that's a good idea, I think. Yeah, the difference between these projects and the next projects that I have is that already there are some common boards on the market, but they are not as accurate as we think. So by cooperating the machine learning and AI models into this little PCB, when it gets the microprocessor which can handle those kind of machine learning models, then we can expect some better, and accurate kind of things from it. So yes, it can be used right now in the line follower robots, which we already may know about them. If you search just on the YouTube alone, you can find several videos of line following robots. But the thing is that they are not industrialized. They are not put it on the industries or put it on the vehicles or autonomous cars. But with this PCB, we may have the ability to cooperate this PCB into industrial realms.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be really great to see the ways that this can develop and become more effective. I'm also thinking about in agriculture. Like, I think this could be really useful in farming equipment and finding ways to just do a lot of farm work with some autonomous vehicles instead of doing it physically.
Yes, I actually several days ago I actually read about some article which they used some kind of similar method to this one, that they detected the RGB color sensor. I think you're familiar with RGB color sensor, and the detection is based on the lighting, and it's also similar to my board. So I can think about this. If we can cooperate the color sensor part of that PCB and my part of PCB together, we can actually get to the point that we can use it in agriculture, as you said.
Yeah, that'd be great to see some of these projects come together and unite in new
Yes.
ways. It would be such an interesting way of developing further. Yeah.
Yes, actually, it has a lot of ways to develop this board. It's just the beginning, I think, for this kind of boards. But we need to open source all the boards that are already on the market, because not all of peoples around the world have an access to these kind of industrialized boards. So if we find a way to, somehow reduce the costs and publish the information of these boards to the public, we can have a better and more active kind of communities around the world, and we have flourishes with this kind of new ideas, with this kind of young people gathering together and making something new.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. Like, the more we can get folks on board with open source, the more we can really see some significant change in our communities in new ways. And I think it's really
Yes,
neat.
of course.
And San also wanted to add that she's inspired by your enthusiasm about something as simple as the line follower. Maybe some things could be done simpler. Keep pursuing its potential.
Yes, absolutely right. The thing is that always big ideas came from the simplest ideas, or stupid ideas, maybe somehow we can call it. And then they developed into something bigger, which nobody ever expected to be that good.
Yeah, there's something to be said to pursuing something that might not seem like the most important thing in the moment, but it's all domino effect. There's so many things that can come out of
Yeah.
something that feels simple when it actually builds up and becomes
Yes.
something so much more.
Yes, I actually wanted to have this little bit of time that we have to present my new, project, which we may see it on the OSHWA certification once again, and it is here. Let me just share it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, as you can see, I open up this window. You can see it, right?
Yep.
Yes, I already used the similar logo that I got from the previous, which reminds me of something that it is one valuable thing. And this board here, as you can see, it has a lot of sensors like gas sensors, Bluetooth modules, moisture sensors, and a lot of more. And it's already on the development phase, but we want to have these young talents around the world to come and join me on this project. It could be more than project what I already have here. It is some kind of medical measurement board which can be used in the future to detect the moisture, the air pollutions, the gas pollutions, and a lot of more sensors that will be come and put it in this board, PCB.
Yeah, we love to see new sensors and new ways of approaching sensors, especially, yeah, things like when it comes to medical spaces or
Yes.
environmental sensing. It's a huge thing to know what is happening in the world around us. And a lot of times people are really disconnected from that information. So having open source sensors like this that allow us to really know what's going on and be able to make the right decisions for us, that's invaluable. It really changes people's perspective on like what is going on in the world around them. Things like, we've seen so many air quality sensors come out in the last while, and each one is so important because like a lot of us forget that the air is a huge part of how we exist and how we can, exist in the world, and clean air is a huge thing. So things like a sensor board that helps track these different environmental things is so important. It's so great to see something like this being developed.
Yes, I already agree with you because these sensors can basically all use all of the data around us and make it into some valuable decisions that we can make in the futures and use it in so many environments, like environments where we have so much pollutions, like factories, like mining, and all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on today and giving us a look into your project, your upcoming projects, and we're really excited to see the Iranian open source scene thrive with your guidance.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much to giving me this opportunity to present my PCB.
We'll keep in touch
Thank you.
and talk to you soon. Bye, Fran.
Thank you.
Okay, what exciting projects we have going on. It's so neat to see what's going on in the open source world and how folks are making cool things all the time. And now I have the very unfortunate task of letting you know that we have unfortunately lost our final guest for today. I will give you a brief rundown of what I know about the project, because I still think it's a really incredible project that people should know about. It's just, unfortunately, we won't be able to do a very in-depth review because I am not the lead designer. I don't know all of the things involved with it, but I do know that this is a project you should be keeping an eye on because it is so neat. So I am going to do my time of presenting on my screen. Share screen, and we are going to share this page. And okay, so this project is the Rebellia hand. So this is being produced by Vittorio Lamare as part of Robot Garage, an open source robotics project based in Italy. So this hand is so cool. So there's an option for humans and an option for robots. So I'm gonna look at the robot real quick so you can get an idea. So this is a nice robot hand that you can get for your robots. If you are currently doing some work around robotics, especially humanoid robotics, this is a very great resource thing to have access to. But something that I think is a little bit even more interesting would be the human version. So this version of this hand, there's some slight changes in it to make it more adaptable for a human need. So there's some parts like it can move a little bit better with within the socket, so that you have a little bit more of a range of movement with the hand. And as you can see with these current prototypes, it is a wonderful design. We've got this really neat, so there's some info here on the wrist detail, how they're planning on utilizing these different ways of having the wrist move. And you can see that there's a lot of really great aspects to this. We, of course, at OSHWA are very focused on open healthware right now with our open healthware project, and we are really enjoying what we're getting out of this exploration into what it looks like to include health in the certification project more thoroughly. So something like the Rebellia hand is a really great option as far as seeing ways that we as makers, as open source creators, can find ways to contribute to the overall medical system and help folks get access to things that they might not have access to. For example, things like prosthetics can be really complicated in the community because of access. A lot of times there's a really difficult time getting access to folks who are able to make prosthetics, to have prosthetics that are specifically molded to your body, because that is what is happening with a lot of these devices. Prosthetics are generally going to be created to fit the user. So when we are looking at those designs, it can be really complicated to take one prosthetic and move it to another person, and near impossible in a lot of situations. So things like this, where we can modify and experiment and bring things into a very user-friendly and just what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like this is a word I use all the time. We'll stick with modify. Being able to modify these devices and make it that folks who can't always afford the costs that go into getting certain prosthetics or don't have that kind of access where they are, projects like this are invaluable, and they're really bringing a lot to the community, both the disability community and the open source hardware community. And we really love seeing projects like this. We are amazed at just how incredible this design is, and we really hope that folks are going to take some time to read up on it a little bit more and potentially find ways that they can also contribute to this project. And we're really looking forward to seeing where it goes next. Hopefully we will be able to have Vittorio join us in the future, but you can also always check out his work on robotgarage.org and find out more about the Rebellia hand and other projects that might be coming up. And we also really appreciate this this version where being able to support the robotic version will help generate the funds needed to bring the prosthetic version to life. So if that's something that you have access to, if you would like to participate in that way, that is a really great way to get involved and help folks develop this project further. And that is my very base understanding of this project. I really hope that we can have Vittorio on in the future to be able to discuss it a little bit more thoroughly. But until then, we are actually going to be ending early today, which is a little surprising. But I do have a couple last minute things I wanted to give you all a heads up on. So in the coming months, so for the month of June and July, we will be having a slightly different schedule. I will be posting about what the new schedule is, but I will be on a different time zone, in fact, a dramatically different time zone, which means that we will be able to focus on some of our projects in Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia. So get excited for that. We're really excited to be able to feature folks that we have long loved their projects, but unfortunately our time zones just haven't matched up in a way that would make sense to be able to have them on the stream. So we're going to get to pull on some folks that we have really wanted to have on the stream that just, it hasn't worked in the past. So get ready for that. Be excited, because there's some really cool projects happening in Asia that we are really excited to be able to have some time to spotlight. And then again, if you are thinking about it, it is now a great time. It is always a great time to become a virtual supporter of the summit, or to attend the summit in person if you have the means and the ability to get there. We would love to see you. We always love getting to see folks from all over on the live stream. We love being able to have folks engage with the conversation. And if there is some concern around it, we do make sure that our Q&A sessions happen on Discord, so folks who are not able to be there in person can still get some time with the presenters and talk about the different projects that are being presented at the summit, as well as, you know, just make those connections with other open source creators or open source lovers around the world. So thank you so much for tuning in today, folks. We will see you again next month. And yeah, have a great one. Bye, y'all.